everybody, I'm Rusty Nelson and welcome to a little more Lightroom. I look a little disheveled. I got a nice old comfy sweatshirt on and I just sat down to do some editing, and I thought that at least every time I do this, I sit down and I go, oh, I should make a video about this, a little shortcut or a tip or a trick or something like that. And I keep thinking, oh, I ought to try this, I ought to do that. Well, what I decided to do was just sit down, start a video, and every time I think of something, go ahead and jump in and put it down. So you may see me in a bunch of different clothes, you may see me in a different haircut, I may have a little bit of a scruff, whatever it is. I'm just inviting you along, and as I think of them, I'm just going to put them in one long video and put them down there. I don't know how many there are. Maybe I'll put a number in here somewhere. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the first one. And go ahead and subscribe if you would. Follow the little guy down there. Let's go ahead and get started on tips and tricks. Kind of the first one I can think of. All right, here we go. Thanks so much for subscribing. And if you could, at least give it a thumbs up or a like. It really helps out, but it definitely helps out if you subscribe. I don't pester you too much with a whole bunch of these. So thanks a lot. So the first one I can think of is because I was just importing some images. And to help you out when you import things, go ahead and set an import preset. And it doesn't have to be a lot of stuff, but there's some very important stuff in there, and it'll keep you from having to redo keywords, tags, and copyright information. So if you haven't done this, and I'll show you what you can do if you haven't done it on all of them, is jump on over. Now let's get me off of here totally. We don't need to have me on there. First thing, jump down to the left-hand corner and click on Import. And that'll bring your import window up, and jump over to the right-hand side. If these are all closed up, go to Apply During Import. And what we're going to do is actually make a preset. And we don't want to make a develop setting. We want to make a metadata setting. Now, if you already have them, you can edit these presets. If you're going to create a new one, you can go ahead and create it. I'm not going to go through typing mine out, but I'll go ahead and show it to you just so we can speed up. I'm going to have to click on Edit, and we'll edit. And when that pane comes up top, you're going to have your presets listed. So this is what I have, Rusty Nelson Copyright, and that's the name of my preset. There's just a few things that you want to consider. And first of that is IPTC copyright. On copyright, you want to place, I just put the C in there, copied that symbol, Rusty Nelson Photography. And copyrighted, you can either put unknown public domain if you want, but I suggest that you put copyrighted. Usage, all rights reserved, and then copyright info. So if they want to get in touch with me, all they have to do is go to my website, and my website is always going to be rustynelson.com. Next, under IPTC Creator, the creator is Rusty Nelson Photography. Here is the address. There is another way if they want to use it, so that if there's any argument about using it, they know that they can get in touch with me just by emailing me. The creator website is rustynelson.com. And the job title, I just put photographer in there. The other thing you may want to think about doing is down in keywords down here, you can see that I put Rusty Nelson Photography and rustynelson.com. The reason being is I want to make sure that that information is tagged in there always, and it helps to keep me from retyping it once I actually keyword my images. So when you're done, you'll actually have, and don't forget, hit save, and it'll ask you to create a name, Rusty Nelson Photography. Now, the thing is when you import, so we go through all the information you would normally put up above, and during import, you leave, and it is sticky so that it will always be there. And remember, we already have a keyword in there, Rusty Nelson Photography. It will be there when you import it as long as you have this preset in here. If you want to add that information to everything, we'll just cancel out of that, bring me back up, and jump back to the library. Let's say you wanted to add, for some reason in 2020, you realized you hadn't put this information on any of the images. Just go ahead and click inside on the library, Command Control A, that'll select everything. And then metadata, jump over to the right-hand side. Remember, we're still in the library. Go to metadata, and it's going to say mixed on all this stuff because you're actually including the information on all these images. Just jump down to Rusty Nelson copyright, click on that. Now I've already done this. Apply this metadata preset, applied to just the selected image or the active image or all of them. And if you want to put it on all of them, it'll just go ahead and automate that with no problem. And that's about it. So I hope that helps you out on import. And remember, this is really important because this information, as long as when you export it, say out to the internet, is attached to the file. And you want this information attached to the file. So one, if somebody's going to pay you for your image, you will get paid, and because they know how to find you. And two, you definitely want that copyright information on there. Anyway, let's, who knows what I'll show up in next when we do the next one? Jump over to that one. I decided to put a red fill square in there so you guys can scrub right along and find each one of the new ones in case you've already seen something and you want to jump to the next one. This is going to be another import one, and I may just stop this after I do tips and tricks for importing in the kind of the beginning of your development stage, because it may get too long, and create one just for development and then maybe one for output. But here we go. This is something that I did because I kept forgetting about it, and I knew I wanted it on every image, and that's chromatic aberration. So what we're going to do is create a preset that will apply that as we import to each image, because I know that I want it. And a lot of people that I know of don't put it in. In fact, I went to one of the larger galleries in Las Vegas, huge images and stuff, and looked down and saw on multiple images no correction for chromatic aberration. Let me show you quickly what it is. Let's jump over to Lightroom really quick. And this is an image from Randsburg, something that I took a little while ago. Chromatic aberration usually happens between the light areas, along light areas, usually a bright white area. Now, I'm going to increase the saturation so that you guys can see this and enlarge it. But if the image was this big, you'd never see it. The problem is when you print it or enlarge it, then all of a sudden you can see it. And it's this area right here along the edge of the white fender and the backside of the fender, green and kind of a purpley brownish color almost. How we're going to do this, and you can do this for a bunch of different things on import, but this is basically it, and it is so simple and will save you time. Go to lens corrections. Watch the bumper as I click remove chromatic aberration. You're going to see those colors disappear. Boom, they're gone. That's all it takes. Now, if you're somebody that always uses enable profile corrections, which I don't, for the lens, go ahead and click that. You'll see why. Come over to the left-hand side under presets and hit the plus sign and create a preset. Here is our preset that we're going to create. And under the preset name, I'm going to just type in remove chromatic aberrations. And that's it. I'll know what that is. Click none. And jump up to lens correction and click chromatic aberration. If you want to do lens profile corrections and lens distortion, lens vignetting, or you can just click all of them. And we've already named it, and we're just going to say create. Jump to library, select import. Now we're going to come up to develop setting, and we're going to go down to user settings, and you're going to see right there remove CA. So remove chromatic aberration, and we're going to go done. And if we go over to import again and we click on it, these two are automatically put in there. So now we're going to apply, remove chromatic aberration to each one, and all the copyright information. So that's about it. And now every time you import, you're going to have all this information onto everything that imports into Lightroom. Boom. Let's move on to the next one. All right, quick jump back on here. I'm still in my white. As I was getting off, I got a little message from somebody that said, hey, I was watching one of your videos and I noticed this bar across the top doesn't look quite like theirs. So I figured, why not do a quick video on it? Like I said, doing these as they come along. The reason I have these like this, I wouldn't normally if I wasn't doing these videos, is to make it a little bit larger so you can see the modules up top. And if you notice, there's only 3 up there right now. How do you change these and change the size of them? Really simple. Just right click on the bar across the top and you can select these. You get a pull down menu, library, develop, map. Now I definitely don't use books. Sometimes I'll use slideshow. And I definitely don't use print anymore since I started using QImage. And you say, what is QImage? I have a couple of videos on QImage. There's also a discount link below if they're still offering it through me. You get a discount on top of their discount if they're already running one. Anyway, go ahead and check that out or check out one of the other videos. But just right click up there and get rid of the ones you do not use. And you're left with that. But now you say, well, what about the size of it? And how did you get Rusty Nelson over there? Jumping over to the left-hand side, right click on this arrow in this area up here. And you're going to see identity plate. And this is where you can customize things. The weird thing is it also customizes the text on the right-hand side. Click personalized, edit identity plate. And up comes the identity plate editor. If you click on this side, on the right-hand side, you'll end up changing the size of the text for the right-hand modules. So that's pretty easy, and you can go ahead and select different types of font and bold, italics. You can do whatever you want. You can actually select the color if you want, but for obvious reasons, I use white, gray, and black. Left-hand side, you can create an identity plate that is either use a graphical identity plate. You can create, say a PNG and use it up there, or you can just change the text to read the way you want it. You can also change the type, the type of text and the size, the same way you did on the other side. That's really about it for that one, kind of plain and simple, just something to go in and play around with and set it up the way you like it. And especially if you got clients that are looking over your shoulder, it's kind of nice to have your name up there. Pretty cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I just looked down at how long this is going to be, and it's already up to 15 minutes. So I'm definitely going to divide this up into probably 3 different sections. The next one will be more on stuff in editing. Anyway, go ahead and subscribe and like, really appreciate it. But for this last one, let's just talk about some parts of the layout and how that works. Get me off of here. And if you look around at the panels here in the library, we're in the library module right now. Jumping over to the develop module, you can see my panel on the left-hand side disappears. That's because it's set up differently. If I hover or I just place the arrow on the left-hand side, it pops out. Now, the reason being for that is I want as much space on there for editing as I can. And in fact, I normally wouldn't have this bar down here except for the demonstration. In other words, it would kind of look like this. And that's how I would edit. But just for this demo, let's take a look on how you get it that way. Now, you may have noticed that these settings are sticky to each module. So in other words, the library is set up different than the develop, and that's set up different than the map itself. Jumping over to the library, go ahead and hover your cursor over the left-hand side and right-hand click, and you'll see a drop-down menu shows up that says auto hide and show, auto hide, and manual. So you can tell that this is set up in manual in my library because I actually have to physically go over and click on it to make it disappear or reappear, show or not show. Jumping over to the develop module, though, you just hover over on the left-hand side and it pops up. That's because, once again, I want as much real estate as I can to edit in, and this becomes really important when you have a smaller screen, but you definitely want this to happen, and it's much nicer when you have it set up to be auto. Clicking on the top here, you can also set it, in addition to manual or auto hide and show, you can sync it with the opposite panel. So in other words, I just synced it. So if I click on this, it automatically gets rid of the lower panel or makes the lower panel reappear. This could be really beneficial to a lot of people because normally, I don't need to have the module up here because I can use the hotkeys to change in and out. In other words, just hit N and as a shortcut key, hotkey, and I'm automatically over in library. Go ahead and set that up. It'll make your life a lot easier, especially if you're on a smaller monitor. And like I said, I'm going to do a bunch of these and I'll just keep moving on until eventually we hit output. Anyway, my name is Rusty Nelson. Please like, subscribe, and do all that. And feel free to use the discount code if you want to explore QImage. And I will definitely see you on the next one. And remember, as I always say, my camera is my best excuse for adventure. So go ahead and get yours and go out and start clicking.